Okay, my friends, this is gonna be fun. I have been feuding a smidge with Tyson, and this is his video about Scorpzilla, and he says, no, I'm crazy, I'm an insane person, and so forth. Now, so I address him in my video. Now, his only runs 3.5 minutes long. Mine is going to be substantially longer, but I am going to put his at the end. So if you want to go to the very end to watch his first, go to the last 3.5 minutes. So now I'm going to go into my video, and then you'll see Tyson's at the end and see who makes sense to you. All right, let me just outline him real quickly, and then I'll show you Tyson's video. Now, this, I say, is his Scorpzilla squirter, and he squirted this out. We'll look at it really quickly in a second. But this is the tip of his tail. It comes all the way back down his back, runs all the way down, and California is his head. I'm not kidding you. And Lake Crowley is right about here, which is part of his beard. Let me show you that really quickly, but I'm saying this is his head. There's an eyeball right here. His beard is right here, which is Lake Crowley, I believe. Now, Tyson is up here somewhere in Oregon, which is on the back of Scorpzilla. Now, he's very, very upset that I don't understand what he's saying, but I don't. I say this is Scorpzilla. It runs all the way up. And guess what this is right here? That's his buttocks. His rectum is right there. And it's also part of my family history. Alright, so this is Scorpzilla's head right up here. Lake Crowley's right around, right in this area here. Let's see what Lake Crowley looks like. And they all had beards now. Don't forget this. They all had beards. This was Lake Crowley. That's his beard. You see this? Lake Crowley has all these like, they look like hairs to me. I mean, they are hairs of some sort. And the black and the red indicates the two different types of blood. Because they all have blood, you know, you could be serviced with blood. Now, the lake, well, I'm really not showing the lake too good, but this is what they look like. And they just break apart because they're hairs, and they have sort of little variegations in them. This is what hair looks like, right here. And this is the muddy part around. And I actually have a huge hair right here. This is the follicle, a hair follicle, just a little piece of what gets down inside there that anchors the hair and grows it, of course. Now, which is this right here. That's this. And that's where this muscle attaches right there. And that right there, that little globby looking thing, is the sebaceous gland. See it? The hair muscle and sebaceous gland. And the hair comes right off the top. So this is not, you know, that's pretty good size, but nothing like what I'm showing you here. I mean, the things that were on the earth, just nobody could possibly imagine. So Scorpzilla is really, really big. He's the biggest of all. And I measured them out, and it's just stunning. So we're going to go be looking at them. But here's, they all have beards. You see this? This is the beard right here on Quetzalcoatl. You see the beard coming down? And if you look at them on the map, you can see, you can trace it down and look at it. And they all have these beards. So does, well, hold on. Well, trust me, they all have the beards. All right, so don't trust me, but you will in a second. This, again, is Tyson. He runs all the way from where the cursor is here, all the way across North Africa. And he's not even long compared to Scorpzilla. Scorpzilla is way, way bigger. Now, does he have beards? Absolutely he does. And the cool thing about this one is they are the source of the toxins. Now, let's take a second to look at this one. This, again, is Tyson, and his neck runs all the way down here, and he's written about in the ancient texts exactly as they depicted him. And they said he was so big that his head often brushed the stars. This is his scales. Now, here's the cool part. And, of course, there's his throat. You see this yellow stuff? And all this flashy looking stuff? This is what you see on the parades in China and things. This is all just runoff of the decaying body. If you ever saw an autopsy scene of somebody that was dead after a week, this is exactly what you see. It's just effluent running away. And this is the structure of the body right up to here, scales. Now, what's coming out of here? 2 beards. And this yellow feeds the beards. Wait till you see this. Alright, you got Google Earth, everybody does, so you can come up here and look at it, spend all the time you want. This is exactly how he is portrayed in Apollodorus. It's called Apollodorus 1.6.3. Remember that again, Apollodorus 1.6.3, and this is Typhon. Now, this opens up a couple of doors here. Remember I said they all have beards. This is the beard for Typhon. Well, there's 2 beards, one here and one here. But they're fed by that yellow strip that runs down his whole body. Here's his red flaring eye. You see it flaring back here? It's exactly what they say. He had a red flaring eye. He was all unkempt and flashy all around, and feathers and hair and all kinds of stuff streaming off his body. It's precisely as he was described. And he runs all the way across here, and he had the thighs of a human, it said, and then he had coils of a viper. And it runs all the way across, and his dragon-scaled tail is all the way over here, still decaying in the desert. You see that? All right, this is no joke. This is real. And he wasn't even the biggest. Like I said, Scorpzilla, twice. I think it's almost exactly twice as big as this. It's stunning. And the fish is right here, which was being attacked by Scorpzilla. I mean, by Typhon. Oh, man, I'll tell you. Yikes. All right, now, so what was I talking about? I was saying the yellow stuff comes up here, feeds the beards. So let's look at the beards. Here they are right here. See it coming down? Beard to beard. Now, this beard is just not in the battle at this point. This beard is doing all of the issuing of the toxins. And what's coming out of that beard is this. You see that? That's the beard. And it's whatever this stuff is, I wouldn't want to be walking around in it. You see that? And that actually burnt through the fish's back. All right, so don't forget, beards, that's the whole key. The fish's back is a whole other issue. But it did burn right through his back, right out here. And you can actually see all the blood vessels down in here, just like a doctor would if he cut open, actually like eroded the skin down to where you had the blood vessels, capillaries, veins, arteries, the whole 9 yards. Now, so that's just showing that these things were gigantic. Now, so we know they all had, well, we don't know this for a fact, but the ones I've seen all had beards. That one we know has beards, just saw him, no question. We know that Quetzalcoatl has beards. We've seen those, there's no question. We'll just look one more time. Here he is right here on the East Coast, you see it? That's his head right there. Runs all the way up the East Coast. And here's his feathers way up here. You see the feathers? Those are green mountains. Feathers make everything grow green. They sell feather meal you can buy for your plants to make it grow green. These are feathers up here on his head. This is what the crown looks like, and I'll show you in a second. But you can see these are feathers. There's a couple really good ones in here. Here they are right here. You see this one right here? Just let it home in. It takes a second. Look at that. That is exactly like this. That is this. All right, and it's over here too. They're starting to erode into the landscape and so forth. But that's what was coming out of Quetzalcoatl's head in all of the ancient codex and drawings. And this is his body. Well, it's his head. And you see the different texture and the colors? Well, that's because it's different chemistry. Everything is chemistry and colors. But okay, let me get back to the main topic here. Here is his beards. And they do look like there might be some kind of toxin in there. I don't know what. But these are, you can see those are beards. To me, that's beards. And they show up exactly as beards right there. You see? Boom, boom. This is his headdress right here, coming out of here, which I showed you the big feathers. And it goes all the way back. All right, you see all this green here? That's the headdress. That whole thing is his headdress. And his whole body snakes around all the way up to Canada. Comes around here. I don't know how much further it goes, but it does look like this is part of it. It's too coincidental to have that flowing all like that, but I don't know. That's just a guess. But you can see where the feathers do go back to here. Anyway, now we go to Scorpzilla. Scorpzilla is the big boy on the block. Boom. He runs all the way from his head to his shoulders, around the back, all the way up to where his buttocks is, all the way to his Scorpzilla tail, to his Scorpzilla injector, right there. Now, why do I say an injector? Because you see this wrinkly spot right here? You see this wrinkle, 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 wrinkle? Let's back out of there. That's unusual. There's no wrinkles here. Why is there no wrinkles here and there's just wrinkles here? I could tell you exactly why. Because this retracts. Now, Tyson says everything got ripped away from here, and that's why it's been ripped away. Well, maybe a little bit. But its function as part of Scorpzilla, it's anatomically exactly perfect. And this, excuse me, is where it withdraws into. And then snaps out. Okay, my friends, look at this now. I study biology very carefully, and there is patterns to biology. And there's going to be variegations, which are these different structures that hold things together. There'll be wrinkles. There'll be certain fibers. There's going to be elevations. Now, let's look at what we're looking at right here. Look at this edge here that runs along these, and these bumps. Now, can we see a pattern? Well, I see a pattern. You see it sort of here, boom, 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 all the way up. All the way up this spine. I mean, you might be able to call it a spine if you wanted to. Now, is this real high up compared to down where it would be laying on top of? Is this a structure that's lifted up, or is this just something that's opened up like a crevice? Well, let's look at the altitudes. All right, let's look at the basement layer here. If we look at the elevation, it's minus 10,800 feet. All right, what do we have here? Minus 4,700 feet. That's a mile from here down to here. That's over, well, it's a little over a mile. And there's other ones that are even more than that. Let's see, up here we got minus 2,600 feet. And over here we got minus 11,000 feet. That's 9,000 feet. That's a mile and a half from here to here deep. So this rises up to this ridge, which is quite well patterned. Now, this is literally a pin. This is literally a pin, a hinge, that holds on to this Scorpzilla's, injector. Now, how would he inject something if it's all wrapped around like that? Well, it wouldn't be wrapped around like that. It would be pocketed in here. You see this? Think about this carefully now. The pin is here. And I believe this is literally a pin. And that's what it would hinge on. So it would rock back in here. its original position would be to point straight out like this. All right, it would be rocking right back in, and it would be coming around like this, and the pincher would be straight out like this. Anybody it came up to, bam, it would rock its body together, and the thing would be swept away. So don't forget, normally it would be out like this, sticking here. Anybody that comes within this range, and it squirts them. Now, this, I say, is squirted out of that injector when it died, or it doesn't look like it was attacking anything. And I'm not saying the ocean didn't open up. He's talking about all these stretch marks mean all this and that. Well, maybe they do. I don't know. They don't mean much to me other than that they're there. I can't make any heads or tails of that, to be perfectly honest with you. But I can make heads or tails of this. I can see Scorpzilla absolutely flawlessly. And this is his head. Now don't forget, Crowley Lake is down in here. That's his beard. And I showed you all those columns, those white columns. This is his eyeball right up here. That's the pupil. And this is his head. And it runs all the way up his back. Now, some here, there's a shoulder. This is a wing or something. This is not easy to see. This is going to require some work here. But whenever you see these patterns, you see this, something was going on down here, and it sweeps up around here, and then his poop chute is right up here. And you know what its name is? Mount Spur. I'm not kidding you. Tyson calls me a rectum a lot. I don't think he uses that exact word, but I love you, brother, but, you're just wrong on this, man. So you're going to have to swallow this one down and just live with it. You're just wrong, brother. And Scorpzilla blows everything you got out of the water, and you live on his back. You're living on his back, man. All right, this does appear that it was a scaled creature. If you go back down, you see all these bumps running down, bump, 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 bump. Of course, it's way deep under the water, and but you can see there's absolutely a pattern going on here. You see the outside edge here, you see the outside edge here, whatever's going on in the middle, I don't know exactly, but you can see there's a pattern going on here. And again, there should be a height to the middle. So if we start right here, that height is minus 12,700 feet. Over here, it's minus 17,000. So we're another mile and change to get from here up to the top of Scorpzilla's tail. Now, if we come down and look at this closely, you can see these same sort of structures, this is patterning of biology. All right, now, of course, it's under the water. You really can't see it all that well, but this is what allows you, these are fibers, basically in this dragon scaled tail. Now, I go for the details, just to be looking at something and start screaming about it being this or that. Wow, Tyson, no, my friend. And this here, right here, this is the cleave. What happens is when that thing comes back from this pin, it just retracts right into there. So the retraction is going to have just a pin sticking right out of here and whacking whatever comes near it. You see, this whole thing. This is not just accidental. It's shaped like this. It's not accidental. It has these bumps and bumps and bumps and bumps. And this is this rise in the middle. And that pin. See, there's a red blood right there. Something that fed an artery right there. Everything has to be fed with blood. And I believe that's just a pin that held that pincher in place. They have these pins. I'm telling you, the stuff we have, no question. Well, you know what? Let me show you the feet. Because I think these were in use just regularly, that exact type of pin. So this would retract in here. So now, you got your pointer, and it's coming back like this. It's going to end up being sticking basically straight out. You get near it, whack, you're done. Now when it died, it just twisted as far as it could go this way. There was nothing to squirt into, which normally there'd be a thing here and it would squirt right into it. And it just dribbled out of there. And this is Scorpzilla. That is just some kind of fluidy, gooey death. You see it? It has no real structure to it. It's just some kind of globular stuff that squirted out of his Scorpzilla's tip. Comes right over. Some of it went down this way. It could be spreading out. You know, Tyson could be right. It could be spreading out a little bit. I'm not adverse to that. But this is absolutely Scorpzilla's tail. It's absolutely his injector. It absolutely has a pin. It absolutely has a retraction spot. It absolutely has the look and the texture and everything else. And this right here is the rectum. Exactly where you'd expect it to be. And guess what its name is? It's Mount Spur. I'm going to show you. And you could say, oh, you're going to have to show me pooping. I could show you the thing is pooping. It's still pooping to this very day. It went off in 1992. I think it was 92. It went off really powerfully. And that area was very active. I was up there in 68 to 70 in Anchorage. Hold on one second. All right, when I say they use pins, they use them all over the place. That's a pin. That's a pin. This is the ankle of one of the no-toes. These are the no-toes. This is one here. Now, there's a pin right here. I know you probably can't see it well. That little circle right there. And I believe there's springs in this one as well. But I'm pretty sure that's a pin right there. But they have them, and this, of course, is a no-toe. And we have lots of these. I mean, lots and lots and lots. Some of them are a little different than other ones. I have here, personally, I think 3 or 4 different styles. This is just one of them. And I think this is probably a different style, but I'm not sure of that. This is the hide that covers this foot. And this pin right there is, I believe, the same sort of pin that Scorpzilla's using. They, you know, somebody constructed these things. I don't know what. All I can tell you is what I see. You see this one? I'm talking about a lot of them. This is a whole leg. And here's all these same kind of pins. This is some kind of a tendinous material. And in between, it's flush with a bloody, fleshy, you know, muscles. And here's this one here. This is really, really cool. You see this back here? That is that's our heel bone. This strap runs straight up to the bone that comes right down to your foot, so your foot can do all that kind of stuff. And that is a tendon. Now, look carefully. You got to pay attention to the details. You see this tendon right here? You see that strap? It's attached back here, just exactly like it is on our foot. Oops, let me back out here just a smidge. You see this tendon ball? Exactly identical to our foot, with a little, you know, really gnarly spot at the bottom to give you that, you know, the heel bone. Now, this is the strap that keeps this pulled up tight to a bone that comes down from above. This strap is a tendon. A tendon has this tendency. Isn't that interesting? Tendency. Oh, it's amazing. Now, this is tendon. This is what's called the abrupt transition, and that is the wrinkle zone. Now, you can see it's the same fiber, but it's all wrinkled up. And that's because these are under tension. They pull tight against that bone. That bone would have sat right there in this cradle. So it was, I got some bone around here somewhere. Well, just think of it this way. There's a bone sitting in this cradle right here, your leg bone. And that strap comes right up to it. I think I showed it before. I have another shot of it somewhere. And these here are springs. Now we have bones and tendons that do the pulling and muscles. These appear to have springs. This one loaded up once. Then that one loaded up after this one loaded. And there's like little metal tabs in here. There's these, you see that? There's wires that run around up to another metal tab up there with a wire. This one has the same sort of situation coming around. But other than that, it's anatomically like us. But no toes in the front. The toes are like little sausages. They just fall off. And that's what pushes this up. It loads this spring up. Once that spring loads up, it pulls this in along with this loader. And that starts to pull this in into this cavity. And then when you let off on it, everything drops down by itself. Pretty nice setup, actually, to be honest with you. All right, this is a little bit embarrassing, but it's true. This is Scorpzilla's rectum. It's called Mount Spur. And I could show you that thing pooping. And it is an avian anatomy, so it's called a cloaca. All right, we're going to look at Mount Spur in a moment, but this is all avian creatures, and I believe all or most reptiles have cloacas. You see what a cloaca is? That's the male and the female. You really can't tell the difference just by looking at them. They actually have people that actually sex chickens when they're little tiny things to see. I don't know how they do it. They somehow know how to tell which is which. So you get your roosters from your hens. But anyway, this is the testes, and this is the way your intestines and your urethra dump down into the cloaca. They sort of come together. Now, same thing with the female. So you have one exit and the two dump together. Now, I'm going to show you Mount Spur, and we have the same thing up there. Now, maybe we can determine whether it's a male or female. I have never really tried to determine that, so let's try and see if we can determine it ourselves. Now, this is kind of rudimentary. Hold on a second. I think I might have a better shot of that. Well, all you know is that the intestine is coming down, dumping right in the middle. All right, this is an inactive and active ovary system, laying eggs, not laying eggs. But it dumps down here from the intestine. All right, and then there is the urethra, which is your urine, basically. And so that's basically what you got. They dump together and they both come out through the cloaca. And there is, on the sides of the cloaca, there are glands usually. And they're, what do you call them? Anal glands. They're anal glands. And they secrete something or they absorb something at the rectum, but we're going to look into that now. So we're sort of getting deep into the poop right now. And I hope I mentioned physics girl was up there, and she was in somewhere in the digestive system in Alaska. And she's quite ill, and I don't think it had anything to do with being in the digestive system, but we just hope for the best for her. You know, she's young, she's brilliant, and she's motivated, and I have found that most of these people that have these really intense, aggressive problems with their immune system, it's because they don't have the correct bacteria and the correct enzymes to fight off the invaders. You need enzymes, and the only way you have an enzyme is to have a bacteria. That's it. I'm telling you, that's a fact. And if you don't have the enzyme, which is so advanced, it's unbelievable. But if you have that enzyme, it can go out and it kills the invaders, and you have no problem. You don't get sick. But if you don't have the bacteria, then you're in trouble. Now, we're going to get into the poop. All right, here's Mount Spur right here. Where you'd expect it. Here it is, right there. You know, this is the body, and everybody's sort of got a buttocks, and this happens to be it right here. Mount Spur. Now, what is this right here? I don't know. What's this right here? Well, I don't know. Let's see if we can figure it out. Okay, my friends, it is time to take the tour de grande. Every time you see these different colors, that is different chemistry. I've shown it a million times. They're all different, little bitty different colors. Some of them are drastically different. Every one of those is related to the biology of your intestinal tract, digestive system, pancreas, gallbladder, liver, all of that stuff interacts with your bodily fluids to give it life-giving stuff or to take out the garbage. It works both ways. Now, we are going to go to the point where it's taking out the garbage. This is where it does whatever it does to extract the food. Basically, that's what happens in your body. Whatever goes into you, 100%, zero is not affected by enzymes. Everything that goes into you is affected by enzymes, which is bacteria, it's everywhere. It's certainly in the wild, but in your body you have a lot of bacteria, and that's what does this job of breaking all this down. But by the time it gets to Mount Spur, which is a rectum, it's all broken down, and now it has to be discarded, and it is being discarded into Cook Inlet, which is right across from Anchorage. That's the outlet of this digestive system. Now we're going to go right in here and look. And this, whoops, I'm sorry, this is the one where outlet's in here. All right, primarily. There is something going on here. We're going to have to discuss that later. But this is Mount Spur. And it blows out here, and it runs down here. All that stuff runs out and down here into this spot right here, which is poop. That's poop. Now let me come right in close. Alright, that's Mount Spur. It blows out and it comes down this way. It runs down here. Whoops. You see it? It runs right down here and runs right into whatever this is. This is another secretion that's mixing with the poop. But Spur poops out right there. Alright, follow it down again. Here it comes down, here it comes down, here it comes down. And it swishes right into this. Now, down here it shows itself as the brown stuff that it is. You see it? It's not just a glacier. That's poop. Alright, and this is where it starts to, some other chemistry happens here. Now, if there's an avian person, we're going to go back and look at the anatomical structures here, because it looks very similar. Now, so this is the poop part, feces. This is, to me, it looks like the urinary tract. You see all this, I'm sure that's fluids. And it's coming out of these colored little secretion areas. Alright, it looks like a glacier, but it's not just a glacier. And this right here has something else to do with it too. Now, I don't know what, but these are some kind of a gland area or whatnot. I'm telling you, this is biology. I don't care what anybody says. Now, if you have a avian anatomist or a reptile person that understands this biology of the digestive system and the excretory system, which is, this is what it is. They come together and then they feed out through one spot, which is the cloaca. That's right there. And this I can shock you to the core with. Because right down here, this is the anal ducts, glands. You see this? On both sides they're the same. And they either extract fluids or do something. But you see this one here? There's one over here too. Exact same thing. Now when they look at this kind of topography, what are they thinking? This is, you know what I'm saying? This is totally different. Because it's an anal gland. See, that's a gland and that's a gland. This is the abrupt transition. All of this stuff down here works on this chemistry going by. And all of these digestive juices going out from different areas are being worked on by these glands, it appears to me. And there's a whole batch of stuff going on dumping into this duct. So it's not just Mount Spur being the rectum, but it does appear to be that's the case. And there's all kinds of other chemistry going on there. This is something feeding into here. All right, this is not normal, just, look at this. Something is biologically reacting in this area. On a massive scale, on a scale that nobody could even start to think about until you really start to realize what's going on. This is all a digestive system. All of this stuff here is feeding in. What the different biology of this particular creature is, I don't know. But I can tell you that's exactly where you'd expect the digestive system to be, or at least where he poops. I don't know, it's a big creature. Is it the whole thing was here? I don't know. But I'm saying, the way I can see it right here is this is obviously part of his body. And it all feeds into the tail, and the tail just keeps going and going and going. And some of it's above the ground and some of it's below. I really haven't dug too deep into this to look, see about any scales or anything, but there might be something here that is pretty obvious. I don't know. But that is, I would say, no question, that's part of his body. And it runs right along with the spine of his Scorpzilla tail. And that, again, is the pin. I think I showed you the feet and all that. It's almost like a flat plate snapped in with a pin. And that would be exactly where the rotation point would be. Exactly. So if you took that, and you rock that back just like this, it would fit right into this pocket. That stuff looks squishy. I mean, it is squishy. You can see it's squishy. That would dip right in there, so you'd have a point sticking out. All set up to spring onto something. And when it died, it just unloaded on its own. And it had nowhere to squirt, so it just gushed out into the ocean here. So I think I've shown Scorpzilla is pretty for sure. And again, that particular spot we just looked at was the rectum, and it's Mount Spur right here. That's the poop, and that's the urinary area, and that's the discharge of the two of them together. And if you look at the anatomical, you got the urethra and you got the deferent duct, which is, well, this is the male reproductive system. Let's just look at it this way. There's one that shows them both at the same time. I might have already showed you this. But what it is here's you got your urinary system hooked into your intestinal duct. Same in both male and female. Well, this is female. Don't worry about it. They're both the same. Only one of them has testes and one of them doesn't. So they come through the intestine and it feeds in with the urinary duct. See, urethra? The two of them feed together and they dump out. Now, I was showing some other things here. If somebody knows about this stuff, whether this is a male or female, or, you know, somebody should know more about it than me, because I'm not an avian person. I don't know that much about it, other than what I just showed you. And that's basically what we're looking at. Something's dumping in here between these two ducts, whatever those are. Something's coming down here, whatever this is. It's a chemistry from wherever this area is. And then it mixes here to do whatever it does to clean up or break down or I don't know what it does in this area, but it creates chemistry. And this is where it starts to flow out of its area. See that? You see this area here? This area here, right in the middle, is just like a little poop area. And it comes down here, and it secretes down this way. And whatever happens over here is the mix. This comes down to a certain area, and apparently at this point here, down here somewhere, it breaks it down or does something to it. And causes it to come out in these little spots in front. See it? And then everything mixes together and flows down. Now you got a bulb here. What this is, I don't know. Is this something different? Is there some special activity going on here? Absorption or something? Whatever all this stuff is, I have no idea. But there's so much complexity to creatures' bodies and to the systems that make them operate. Very, very difficult for the average mind to even consider it. Those look like trees. Anyway, it's coming down here, and it comes out and feeds into the ocean. Like I say, I believe there's ducks at the bottom, and all of this stuff is doing some kind of chemistry down here. And that's exactly what happens in your colon and in your rectum. There's like glands, just like this, that absorb or discharge whatever they do. And there's one on this side, and there's one on that side. And that is just the way it works in the digestive system and the excretory system, of which this is both. Alright, Scorpzilla, Mount Spur, just a phenomenal world we live on that's just never been thought of or considered. This is the monster of all monsters. 3,700 miles from here to there. It's twice the size of Tyson in the desert. Okay, so here is Mount Spur, and this is when it erupts, it really erupts. And what is an eruption? Well, it's the same thing that happens in your gut. Now here's what it looks like when it erupts. Look at this. Because all of that stuff is backed up, and it's got to go somewhere, and it pops. When it does, it's a disastrous explosion, which, as you can see, and it covered Alaska with, Anchorage with deep. It caused a whole kind of problems. All right, this is ultra cool. This is MBMDH03. He's only got 3 subscribers, and 153 views, but this is Mount Spur, upper crater pass number 2. Now, this is the cloud banks way down there. Now watch this. They're going to be coming up to the rectum, which is here. Now, they're going to be looking inside at the actual tissue, which is the fibers that make up the wall of the internal part of the rectum. All right, you see the red? That's blood. Now they'll be coming back, I think. Maybe not. No, they're not going to come back. But this is, you see that? This right here, hold on. What that is literally fibers that make up that anal duct. Alright, and that's how your body is designed. This has to be able to go this way and that way and flex this way and that way, and they're all in these fibers. Alright, so what has happened inside that rectum to explode like that violently? It's nothing more than spontaneous combustion, like a compost pile. And they say, normally you don't have this kind of compression with this kind of volume and that kind of, restriction, and it's going to explode. That's what these explosive volcanoes are. There's different types of volcanoes. Hawaii is different than this one. This one is an exploding digestive system. Other ones have different bodily organs that are just festering open, and they're bubbling and boiling, and they do have chemistry going on that creates all that, magma, yes. But these are explosive. Same with Mount St. Helens. Now, this is, they get in these temperatures and they just combust and pow, and it goes off like that. And that's what happened to Mount Spur. And there's a lot more to this story. This is kind of funny because I was right across the street from there. I was in Anchorage for a couple of years, a long time ago, and I never even knew about Mount Spur. I didn't, no idea. And when I started researching the volcanoes and what was coming out of them, because I wanted to know what are they pooping? As soon as I put in volcano, I forget what I did, spectral analysis, something like that, the first thing that popped up was Mount Spur. It blew me right out of my socks. I never expected. I said, well, what is this Mount Spur? And then I started digging in. Sure enough, there it is in Alaska, right where I was. Had no clue. None. Okay, I'm not going to interrupt Tyson. He's going to tell you what he thinks about Scorpzilla and what he thinks about me. Here goes.
Before I start this video, I just want to say I am not upset in any way. I am not raising my voice in any way. None of that. So please don't judge me that way, okay? I am not upset at all. Absolutely none. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to attempt to explain this to where I hope it makes sense and why this is not Scorpzilla. The tail. This is not a tail, okay? I was trying to show you in my first video that a whole bunch of things have pulled away. I was trying to show you the scrape marks where things have pulled away. This piece used to be back connected to this, Roger, okay? This piece here used to be connected to this piece right here, okay? It's pulled away up like this. This piece right here used to be curled back in here. This piece right here used to be sitting right here in this pocket, right here, okay? If you come in here and take, remember I told you everything that moves leaves a signature no matter what it is. This, you can see, is part of this. You can see where it dribbled right here, it's part of this. You can see the lines right here where this piece pulled out away from this piece, okay? If you come in here, you're going to see some lines right here. This piece used to be wrapped back up in here, okay? So when this whole piece pulled away from this piece, these came apart and this pulled apart. This was the last piece to snap, was right here. This piece pulled apart, and that's why you see this coming to a point right here and this coming to a point right there, okay? Because this piece pulled apart. If you cannot see that this is part of this, then I don't know what to tell you. And you can come in here and you can see the lines where this piece moved out of it. It was sitting right in here, right in this pocket right here. And this was all connected to this, okay? It's not a tail. This piece used to be part of this piece. You can come in here and see this used to be wrapped, this piece used to be wrapped right back up into here. Okay? And when this whole piece pulled apart from this piece, that was the last piece to snap. It's not a tail, Roger. You can come in here and it's so, I showed it to Becky. I showed it to my wife and it's so obvious to her it's not even funny. Okay? You can see lines right here from when this piece headed that direction. Okay? So this piece is actually part of this piece over here. It's all one piece. That's not a tail. That's just a piece that peeled out away from that piece, and this piece peeled out away from there. That's what's going on. Okay? It's so obvious it's not even funny. It's left a signature of where it left. This has left a signature of where it snapped apart. Come on, man. Alright, hope that helps. There's my evidence of it not being a tail. Anybody can see what's going on here when you come down and really think about it. Okay. Before I start this video...
Alright, so, before he starts that video, he's not upset in the slightest. Now, what do you think? I'll leave it up to a poll by the audience. Did I make my case, or did Tyson make his case? You decide.